What I'd like to request is that my increase for 2026 actually equalize the salary adjustments between me and the general employees. I don't want to receive anything more than that. I don't want a market adjustment. I just want to be paid the same increase that they received in '24 and in '25, which is a total of 9% rather than the 5.9% that I did receive. So I'm asking for just over 3%.
But it's come to my attention that she recently applied for city manager job of Madeira Beach and was chosen as an alternate. But at this time, 2 years ago, you got a new contract and a raise. And I just think with the state of the economy right now, that all raises should kind of be tabled for now. We have so many things going on in this country. Senior citizens aren't getting a raise. People aren't getting a raise. People are losing their jobs. And I really feel that at this time, a raise is not appropriate. No offense to your work. I appreciate that. But I just think it's not appropriate at the time. Thank you.
Not only do I disapprove of a raise, I severely disapprove of a raise for the city manager because I think she's a very intransparency person. She's not honest. She doesn't pass on all the information that you guys should have.
I don't think pay increase, all the small businesses I know are hurting right now. I know my business is. I know doctors that are taking pay cuts because people, especially the ones that take cash pay, because people don't have the money. And that's a lot of money. That's a pretty doggone good salary. I mean, I don't know how many people that are sitting in this building have ever made that kind of money per year. I don't think it's appropriate right now. There's nothing personal. I mean, it's just real world, small business is struggling. And I'm just totally against it. Thank you.
Marlowe Jones, Port Richey, Florida. I am going to ask that the council table this. What I think should happen, and I believe that we should be able to see the city manager's performance evaluation, the same one that you guys see when you grade her on whether she deserves a raise or not. Now, I understand the city manager's position is a very important position, and she has an important job, and we understand that. But right now, with the state of the economy, like Ms. Donna said, the state of our country right now, you all should, especially most of you, from what I understand, you're very conservative. So I would hope that you understand why we as residents are a little concerned. I think the salary she has right now, like Mr. Dale said, is pretty good. And I know that there was submissions of other cities with different salaries, but they have bigger revenues, they have larger cities. So I hope you all are taking that into account. And also, just, so we're all being fully transparent, like the wonderful lady said behind me, are we doing this right now for a particular reason? Because I do find it strange that this was brought up right before an election. And it seems like right before a mayoral election, this is always right before us, and it's the last thing on the agenda. Why is it the last thing on the agenda? Why couldn't we talk about that when there was a room full of people? It always feels like there's something you don't want us to know. We've been here for hours. So I would hope that the council reconsiders giving any raises, because we need to think about last year when we were here listening to you all talk about the budget and how many of the employees that sit to our left and right are no longer here. Did we eliminate like 11 or 12 positions within this city government, right? Because of being conservative and trying to protect the budget. So how are we going to justify letting 10, 12 people go, moving their positions, and now we're going to give the city manager a raise? We have residents that don't even have hot water in their homes. We have seniors that could be facing more issues if their Claude Pepper Center is not going to be a sufficient place for them to be. So I think we should focus our resources on things that the residents want, and I think you should table this until after the election. Thank you.
I do want to say that my position still stands despite that. So just think about what I said earlier. I think that this is a big decision that you need to consider, and I want to second what one of the ladies said before me about while beautification is very important, we still need to remember the residents that do live here.
I mean, we're the four here working with her, five working with her, so
Yeah,
I think we should be the ones making this decision, not somebody who's gonna be elected.
because you make a valid point. I don't think someone who's brand new, potentially brand new, Mr. Mayor, should be coming in dictating what our city manager should make. However, I do think postponement, if you look at the totality of the context here, the city manager started by saying a convergence was made. And that is a very, that's one way to characterize it. What happened was our city manager came before this council, and it was Mr. Peters, who sat in the seat before me, who made the recommendation that we should give her what ended up being a 9% raise, contingent on the fact that we would use the consumer price index going forward for a 5-year term. So that 5-year term is not up. We're only 2 years, 2023, April 2023, so we're on the cusp of 3 years into that. And so I think it is appropriate that if the city manager believes that there needs to be a market adjustment, that conversation occurs at the end of her 5-year contract, and when we reopen the conversation of her salary, we can talk about a market adjustment to get her to where she believes is fair, and where I will concede to the fact that other city managers do make, I wouldn't say significant more, but for a city our size, she is lagging behind, but that is the consequence of longevity with the city to begin with. The suggestion was made that our city manager would like to just balance out with what our employees make, or what our employees saw an increase this year. I would be mindful to remind this council that in the year that this contract was made, our city employees, and I'm ready to be corrected on this because I'm confident this is true, received a 3%, in some cases a 2%, a 3% raise, and I'm not including labor, in 2023, the year that this contract was made, a 3% raise with the possibility for up to 2% based on performance. So while the city manager was given a 9% raise, our employees that year historically were given a 3% raise with the possibility for up to 2%.
Language, if you'll excuse me, in the contract clearly says the council may approve an additional increase each year in conjunction with the CPI. And in '23, the employees got the same thing I did, a market increase.
Is, first of all, we all know that inflation is hitting a little hard in the last month or two, and we don't know what that number would be, but it could be as high as 2.5, 2.6. Who knows what that inflation factor is going to be when it's determined. The request I heard was for 3%. If that request was for an additional 3% over the CPI, then that's a whole nother story. So I want to be clear about what's been asked. And so I would suggest that for now, I would ask that we just stay with the contract, but I'm willing to relook at the contract in October.
The way the contract is written, it's as of the CPI in March. So the CPI number in March is what is utilized for Ms. Mann's increase, which actually would go into effect in June.
Obviously, this is a hard thing for Ms. Mans to do. I mean, her salary's on display, but to my point, I'm the new guy here. So I wasn't here when this contract was made, but we all know nobody follows a contract. It's in sports, it's in everywhere. People leave, it's in college. So to me, to your point, Peter, we need to make sure we keep Debbie, if that's what we agree. Because to me, to the point that was brought up, she did apply for another job somewhere else. Now, I don't know for what reason, maybe more money, whatever. So to me, historically, I think her position for our city and our expansiveness and what we're doing, she is a little underpaid. Done a very good job. Now, does everybody agree with her? No. Do we all agree with her? No. You know, but that's part of the job.
And if we do our job properly, and I've tried to make sure that I don't find myself on the wrong side of somebody that's got those kind of control, management control.
I work at your pleasure. It's my plan to continue to work here and to
question,
work
yeah.
hard every day. And whatever you decide, I'm gonna continue to work.
PI,
Right.
and so it wouldn't be 2.5 versus 3. It's this plus 3.
Right.
And I'm just saying that plus 3 is a decision I would prefer to put after our performance, when we could really evaluate on that. Propose to hold the line on the additional request that's before us. Appreciate the agreement of the city manager to continue to work under the contract, and ask if we could, in the first meeting in September, take up the conversation of an increase.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Nay.
It's 4-1.